So you want to cross the Atlantic Ocean by hitchhiking, you want to have the adventure of your lifetime, and you want to experience the ultimate feeling of freedom, then you are right at this video, because here I'm gonna teach you everything I know about how to cross the Atlantic by hitchhiking. Alright, first let me explain to you how the Atlantic crossing works. You have around 1,800 boats who cross the Atlantic each year. They start in Europe, the Mediterranean Sea, England, Norway, Denmark. Then they go down to the Canary Islands, follow the coast of Africa to Cape Verde, and then go across the Atlantic to the Caribbean and sometimes South America. And it is possible to participate in this Atlantic crossing as a crew member. And so basically how this works is you find a captain. Either you can find him personally by going to the marinas, or you can find him by going online. And then you negotiate with him about the shared costs and what will be involved. And then you just join the captain wherever he is in this journey, and then you go on the greatest adventure probably of your life and sail across the ocean. Now first I want to answer a few questions I personally had before I started my journey. Do I need to know how to sail? The answer is no. However, if you don't know anything about sailing, you should expect to work hard and pay more money. And every bit of sailing experience you have will be advantageous in negotiating with the captain, and furthermore not only sailing experience but also skills like being a nurse, being a mechanic, being a carpenter might also give you an advantage in finding a sailing boat. Now, how much money does it cost to cross the Atlantic Ocean? Well, that depends entirely on your skill level and on what kind of deal you negotiate with the captain and how far you want to go. And most people either just share the food they eat, which is around like 10 to 15 euros a day, or share a little bit more, fuel or the maintenance of the boat, and it could be around like 13 to 50 and up, depending on what kind of captain you have. I would say it is possible to cross the Atlantic Ocean with roughly 1,000 euros, even if you have no sailing experience. If you negotiate well with captains and wait for a boat, gives you a good deal. Now, when to start best? There is a certain time frame from October till February where it is possible to cross the Atlantic Ocean. Outside of this time frame, this isn't possible at all to find boats, so you have to be inside this time frame. And in my experience, the best time to find a boat is in November, because there is like an arc, which means there's like a lot of boats leaving at once, and a lot of boats means a lot of opportunities to find boats. So around November would be the best case. And before Christmas, the last 2 weeks before Christmas, there's a huge drop down in boats, because most captains want to spend Christmas on shore and leave after Christmas. So you need to factor that in. But other than that, you basically have from October till February to find a boat. Of course, like how much time do you need to cross the Atlantic Ocean? That of course depends again where you start, but let's say you want to start in Gibraltar and cross the ocean. Your boat crosses the ocean and goes to the Caribbean. It would take roughly a month. It depends upon the wind, how fast the boat is, how big the boat is. And I would say you should roughly factor in 1.5 to 2 months for your entire adventure, because you also need to factor in the time you need to find the boat and the time you need to go back from the Caribbean. Alright, now let me explain how you actually find a boat. First let me explain the physical method, or the in-person method. So there are like ports all around Europe, the Canary Islands or Cape Verde, depending on far in you want to start looking. And I'll put a link of a list of like potential ports down in the video description. And in these ports, the sailing ports, you will see these different, they call platoons, where the sailing boats anchor. Most of the time they're like protected by some kind of doors, so you can't just walk up to the sailing boat. I personally just wait outside of the platoons until the captain comes out, and then I just personally ask the captain if he needs any crew, or if he knows anybody who needs any crew. Let me give you an example of that.
Here we go.
Excuse me, sir. Yes. Are you aware of any sailing boats that might be in need of some crew around here? Now the captain can either say,
This pontoon I am not aware. No, I'm sorry.
which is okay, and then you just ask the next captain, or the captain will say,
Well, I guess on pontoon 10 there might be a Swiss guy who would need a hand, yeah?
lastly, if the captain himself needs crew, he will say something like,
Well, actually, we do have some space, and we could maybe even need a deckhand, so...
alright, can I give you like my contact detail and we keep in touch and talk about it?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
You can start negotiating what their expectations are, what your expectations are, and if you're like compatible. Now I explained to you how you find a sailing position online. This might be better for you if you're a little bit shy and you don't want to talk to captains, or if you want to be like sure to have a sailing boat and to arrange everything beforehand. So there are two websites which are called Find a Crew and Crew Bay. You just make yourself a profile there, talk about your skills, your dreams, your passions, talk about yourself, upload a few pictures, and try to give the other person a good idea of who you are and what your expectations are. Also, there is the possibility of Facebook. There are a lot of Facebook groups. Just type in something like sailing, hitchhiking, crew. Just try to post in like a few of them. Again, lots of photos. Try to convey a true, honest version of yourself and talk about what you're able to offer and what you're like expecting. Right, now you've got a boat. Congratulations! And the boat will want to take you across the Atlantic Ocean. Now you are not finished, because now comes the negotiating part. Because you don't just want to go on any boat, you want to be sure you're safe, and you want to be sure you have a safe trip and everybody's happy afterwards. So if you be on the internet, I would highly recommend you to talk with the captain on the phone, best with a video call so you can see each other in person. And I would highly recommend not to pay anything or a lot of money in advance, because there are also a lot of scams, and if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. Right, now if you're in person, I would recommend you to maybe meet for a cup of tea in a bar or a beer in a restaurant, and then just negotiate about what your expectations are, talk about how much money you should contribute, ask the captain about his experience, ask the captain about how old the boat is, ask the captain if he had any emergencies, how experienced the crew is. If the captain is not experienced, maybe there's other crew who is experienced. Once you are at the ocean, there's like no way to leave, and you should be really sure about every single detail before you leave, because once you're gone, once you're on the ocean, it might be very hard for you to change anything, and you might have a very, very tough time if it doesn't work out. Furthermore, I recommend you to maybe ask around in the marina if the captain is known. Go on the internet, search for the captain, maybe you find something about him. For example, I've had some other sailing hitchhikers who wanted to go with the captain, and then they searched on the internet for him, and it turns out the captain was in prison for 8 years because he was like a serial rapist. That's a true story, actually happened. The most important thing here is to follow your gut feeling, because even though it might seem all okay, but you got like a weird feeling about it, you know, maybe don't take that boat, because it's really important to get a good boat. And if something seems off, there's a good chance that something is off, even though you don't know exactly what it is. And you might be kind of desperate to find a boat, but it will really be better to just let this boat pass and search for another boat. There will always be other boat opportunities.
So finally I want to talk about seasickness, because this is a subject I personally didn't take seriously enough. So I highly recommend you to go to the pharmacy beforehand and get yourself some seasickness medication, and also recommend you to have a very light breakfast the day before you start, take the seasickness medication before you start, not just when the seasickness hits, because there's a high chance it will hit. And also avoid any fatty foods. I really don't recommend you just toughing it out. It will make your voyage a living hell, and also affects your way, your ability to work as a crew, which is not nice for the captain and all other people involved.
Yeah, and that's how I eventually found this boat here, crossing over to the Canary Islands. Yeah, in this video I just briefly mentioned the most important things. If you want to learn a little bit more, I've put some useful links down in the description. I recommend you checking those out as well. And if you got any further questions, please feel free to write them in the comments. If I can help you with any of them, I will answer them. And consider giving this video a like if it was helpful in any way. Thank you for watching.